kaya ino mwane mwane ragonya nyota sene kumina ke kama sikumi asene beni kale mirongo mire na kumina ne beni chena mugamanye muenda ni kuenda muti ukapata koka mau katoka funo kandwe katosalumwe
Worship, they sing and dance in their worship and give offerings. So you find that for a long time, because as we understand, all of us, for a long time there was the misconception that Africans were regarded as ancestor worshippers, animists, etc. Also, they have their own centers of worship, and they have got their own priests. And as John introduced himself, he is one of the priests of Kayafungo. That is one of the sacred shrines, sacred places in Kenya, coastal Kenya. Africans have got myths of creation. This shows that they believe in the existence of God. In the Holy Quran and in the Holy Bible, there are also myths of creation. And so in Africa, almost all communities of Africa have got their own myths of creation. If you can remember the works of Ngugi wa Thiong'o among the Gikuyu, he portrayed a very good picture about the beliefs of the Gikuyu. Africans believe in life after death. but they don't believe in hell. They believe that God is a loving God, and He has got His own way of punishing those who offend the society and Himself, rather than putting them in hell. Africans have got their own religion. And I want to emphasize this because this has been a debate amongst African theologians and academicians, whether we take African religion as a religion or religions. And there is one of African theologians, academician called Laurent Mugesa. I think he's a priest of the Roman Catholic in Tanzania. And he has elaborated a lot of this, whether African religion is a religion or religions. And the debate is that it's like Christianity and Islam. Because in Christianity we have got many denominations. We have the denominations of the Protestant Church and also some denominations of the Roman Catholic. These denominations cannot be called Christianities. They just have one single Christianity, but they have got different names behind there. So Africans have got their own. African indigenous religion, therefore, is a living religion and life-giving religion. These are the words of Father Arinze. Father Arinze is a Roman Catholic priest. It is practiced openly by those who believe in it, that is their adherents. But according to the study of the Lutheran World Federation and Pontifical Council of PCID, Pontifical Council of Interreligious Dialogue, they identified that African religion sometimes is practiced by even Christians and Muslims, but secretly, because of the fear of being known by their priests or their colleagues who are Christians or Muslims, because it is sometimes condemned that it's not good to go for African religion when you're a Christian or a Muslim. So it is a reality that African religion is existing. It has been fought all these challenges. Shortly, Kiuyauye includes men, women, and the youth. It's not about the Kaya elders, but it is about young men, young women, elder men, elder women, and even children. I wish the clip would show you some pictures. And Kiuyauye itself took a model of a very famous heroine, a Mijikenda woman who was very keen in African culture and African religion. And she stood firm to defend African culture and African religion. And this is Mekatilili Wamenza. So Kiuyauye took that advantage and said, come on, we are going to use Mekatilili Wamenza as our model, and then we are going to make different activities that will be known now here in Kenya and all over the world. So Mekatilili Wamenza died many years ago. People had forgotten about her. But from 2002, when QUA started, and under the Malindi District Cultural Association, where John Mitsanze and Joseph Mwarandu are based, they began a research until they found where Mekatili Wamenza was arrested. They went there and they cleared the bush. He has the history. It was so thick, cactus. They cleared the bush. Finish up so that John can continue from there, is that African religion, one of the greatest values that we have seen is respect for nature. Respect for nature. If you've heard of the sacred forest of the coastal Mijikenda, the Makaya, they're flourishing. We discovered that it is the Christians and Muslims who are coming down and they want to cut the trees. But the indigenous African Indians, they are very strict. They don't want these to be cleared. Because for them, one, they are homes of the spirits. So they have got respect for nature. And that's why you see that even some of the forests up country, because of that belief, they do not want to destroy or destroy the forests. Simply because they know that when they do that, it is evil before God. And God has got a punishment for that. The education part of it is challenging, but I'll go very fast. As we all know, as Africans, that African indigenous religion for years was not taught in primary schools and in secondary schools until when scholars such as Professor Mugambi had actually intervened, and Professor John Mbiti, Teresia Hinga, who is here, and others. And they had to intervene and say, come on, we must introduce this to our children because this is very important. But again, when it was accepted, like in primary school, the larger syllabus of the CRE, African indigenous religion, was just given a unit, a small unit within that larger syllabus. Teachers are here. You are teachers? Am I wrong? It's true. Now, if we are to succeed in order to make African indigenous religion to go, to be known, to be embraced by our young people, we need to include it as a cause on its own. Because now we have accepted Islamic religion, we have accepted Christianity, we have accepted Hinduism. I think it is the right time for us to come up with a curriculum for African indigenous religion. Earlier on, we didn't have the experts, but now we have got experts within the Ministry of Education and also outside. But this will need a lot of dialogue, because it's not easy and it won't take place within a short time. But as for me, because this is my area of specialization, but also I'm really specialized in interfaith studies. As for me, my proposal for religious education is to introduce the interfaith religious education in Kenya. With this one, it's going to help our young people not just to realize the values of their own religion, but also to realize the values of other religions and to tolerate and respect other religions.
This is a torch, and its main function is to help us to see what is hidden. The time we walk in darkness, we will not be able to see everything. So we have been walking through a period of darkness about African traditional religion. It is now the right time for us to see the torch and know and be able to look at all the corners so that we can bring up the diversity of African heritage and use it to better our society. So this torch is what I am, or what we are in general. All of us can be symbolized by this torch, because I expect you to go out and talk about ATR. So we look at ATR. Dr. Chidongo has already talked about Makaya, but in this particular area I've been doing a project, and the project intends to create awareness about God in the African perspective. We realize that we have so many perspectives of looking at God, but this is the African perspective. So that is one goal, one major objective of the project. The second objective is to shed more light about ATR. ATR's global contribution in peace building, development and governance. There are many sources of ATR information. Community leaders have contributed a lot in ATR or interfaith. Government servants, civil society organizations, government agencies, scholarly works, mass media, reports, and there's been documentation of these activities. The rationale is that religion is informative and socially functional. And in this case, it is viewed to be, in many cases, it is viewed to be conservative, but also has the synergy, the energy to transform. It has the synergy for transformative dynamics. By using religion as a tool, it's possible to cultivate an appreciation of the community, and we can use religion to negotiate between conflicting ideologies to bring about gradual changes of awareness and positive attitudes. So when we use religion to transform the community, it enables us to initiate development in those places, in the rural areas, and even in town areas. And these initiatives will make us be more united, have one single perspective about God's messages to us, and therefore avoid situations where we will not be able to harmonize and integrate properly. So this time we request that as we look at this religious perspective, let us open our minds, our hearts, every bit of our communication system within us to be able to appreciate this message. I'm going to talk about the Mijikenda, or Mijikenda in other words. The Mijikenda are 9 communities that have come together, and they have a common history, common culture, and speak the same language, more or less the same language. And all these are known as the Mijikenda. The term Mijikenda was created recently in 1950s, but it has been so effective and it's being adopted by many people. The Mijikendas live on the coastal belt of Kenya, as actually spanning their area from Vumba, River Vumba, that is on the Tanzania border, all the way to areas of Lamu. So all these places, if you walk around there, you'll actually meet the Mijikenda. They comprise of the Rabai, Chonyi, Giriama, Digo, Kambe, Kauma, Ribe, Duruma. All these are together known as the Mijikenda, including the Jibana. Kaya is a Mijikenda term, meaning homestead or home. Therefore, when we talk about Kayas, we are referring to these establishments, very old ones, which are now being used mainly for religious purposes. But in those days, these Kayas were highly inhabited, and they were the actual living spaces of the communities. So Kuhasa is actually a Mijikenda term, meaning the act of having a special prayer, whereby in that prayer you can give blessings. You also invite the ancestors to commune with you, to commune with God, and in thereby making that prayer more inclusive. And surely these are being granted. Sadaka is a prayer that involves sacrifice, and it is actually performed by the Mijikenda now and then. Now, when we look at the history of Kayas, we find that Mutoro and Houghton, 1978, Sopa, 1967 and 1971, and Odna, 1971, and Chame, 1994, talked about archaeological discoveries in the Tana Delta, around the Tana River, and also in Kaya Kwale. And they named this pottery remains as Tana ware, and the other being Wenje ware. So the Kayas are as old as having been established in the 9th century. So Makaya are actually a heritage of Kenya, of African heritage, and they have been surviving all that long up to 1993, when there was a survey, the forest survey, which involved a survey of flora also, and it was done by Anne Robertson and Quintin Locke. So these people came with the findings, and they say that indeed these Kayas have to be protected, and therefore they were put under the protection of the National Museums of Kenya. Now our religious heritage is actually passed informally in conversations in the evening, during a meal time. The elder sits and all the grandsons and the sons come together, and then there is this sharing through stories, personal experiences, and we talk about our culture, we talk about our religion. The head of the homestead has got all the rights to decide what to talk about. He may talk about a marriage ceremony. Usually he may talk to his grandsons how he married the grandmother. You know how he married your grandmother? This is the way it was, you see. And my grandfather told me this, that when he married my grandmother, she was totally unspoilt. And even there was a lot of struggle. And even the bed that was made of reeds broke in that day. So you can see, it means that there were a lot of values being passed across, such that it protected and made the community appreciate what it was preserving. So literally, it says
a prayer of binding hands.
Binding hands, yeah. So in this prayer, what happens that the community are actually invited, and each homestead gives something, whatever you can. You can give a goat, you can give chicken, you can give maize, whatever. And all these are collected together and prepared on that day. And everybody is invited to come. Now, we share that meal. And what happens that you may not be talking to your neighbor. Maybe you had a difference. But on that day as we eat, you'll have a chance to talk to him. And that means it breaks it breaks that disconnection.